Community Viewpoint.
And welcome once again to Community Viewpoint. I'm John Pawlak, your host for this segment, and welcome to another hot day in Pahrump. I have the pleasure of having with me a good friend of mine, Salli Kerr, who is the Executive Director of Nevada Outreach Training Organization, Pahrump Family Resource Center, No to Abuse, and there's some other titles that she's in charge of too. And it's kind of a heavy load. There's a lot of things that you're overseeing, and it's very important for this community. So, and I believe you're the person to do it. So, Salli, if you explain a little bit about what you do with the different hats that you wear, I'd appreciate that.
Okay, so Nevada Outreach Training is an organization that's an umbrella to several different programs.
Okay.
All of those programs focus on some kind of service to the community. Mm-hmm. So the first one and the most known is No to Abuse.
Right.
It is the program that will help victims of domestic violence and sexual assault, mm-hmm. Intimate partner violence, family violence. Mm-hmm. We have a program manager that sees the direct client services and overall day-to-day operation of that. We have the Pahrump Family Resource Center, which is a state-funded program that has, again, a program manager, Annabelle Lucero, that oversees that program. And that is for basically emergency social services and services for at-risk families. So that program will help someone that would need to be able to get an ID so that they can go apply for SNAP benefits or a job. Mm-hmm. And you can't do those things without an ID, but they don't have their birth certificate because it was given out in Iowa. And so yes. Annabelle works the magic of ordering the birth certificate, getting that here for them, getting them an ID, and mm-hmm. so that there are that opens up the doors for them to be able to do other things.
Right.
We have the Independent Living for Foster Care Youth, which
yes.
is the program that takes foster kids from age 15 through 21. And helps them gain skills to live independently from 15 to 18, mm-hmm. and then oversees them from 18 to 21, gain the skills to move into self-sufficient adulthood. So she will help them with getting into school, getting jobs, just everything it would take that we would do as a youngster to move them to 21 in self-sufficiency, we will do as a foster care child.
We have a lot of kids that are in middle or upper teens that have a tendency to float around too. I've dealt with that on a small scale, but you do a lot more with that.
Right, and so those kids have this one constant who helps them look at their long-term goals. Mm-hmm. You know, and you meet with them at age 15, you work with them through 15 to 18. Now you have a really well-established relationship to move from 18 to 21 as they get into being young adults and finding them their first apartment and how will we get a car and what do our jobs look like, and
you're like a mentor to them.
Exactly.
A temporary one.
Right. So that program is really, really helpful. We see a huge success rate with kids that do not go back to their family of origin because they gained their own sufficiency mm-hmm. By the time they're 21.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we have the Nye County Children's Advocacy Center.
Oh, okay.
And that is a collaboration with us, the DA's office, the Sheriff's office, DCFS, sometimes juvenile probation, mental health providers that wrap services around a child that's had a sexual abuse or an alleged sexual abuse. And we do an interview where all of the parties are present so that little one doesn't have to go through numerous interviews, and all the parties take place in one. And then again, we have services that would help that child get into therapy, make sure that the family has what they need to support them,
wow. Okay.
And help get them on the process to healing as quickly as possible.
Now, what else do we have are you overseeing?
Well, all the other things that we're working on that are all part of what my organization does is I am the chairman of the Transportation Committee. So we're working on the public transportation. And we are also working on a HUD housing where we hopefully can get some homeless housing in place in Pahrump.
Really?
And are trying to write the first grant that's ever been done for direct housing in Pahrump. Mm. So that's coming. We just impact that our agency as a whole just impacts the community on so many different levels.
Right. And you're over on what street? Blag?
We are Blag. We're Blag and Wilson, 621 South Blag. One of the other things we do through the Family Resource Center is offer services to families for items that they may need: children's clothing, household goods. You know, people in our community are gracious and donate to us, and then we give it to other community members. There's no charge for that. If they can come in and they have a need, and their kids need clothes or shoes, or they, need toys, or they need household goods or furniture, anything that's been donated to us, we give directly back to the community.
So much. There's more?
Well, yeah, that's a lot.
I know. You also have you still have some money for the veterans too?
We are, well, we have...
I was part of that for a short period of time.
Yes, we have expended the veterans funds that we have now.
Okay.
But we do have fundraisers planned in the fall to gain some more access to veterans funding. So we have always in the past, this Nevada Silver Tappers have done...
like Christmas?
Like the Christmas show.
Yeah.
And the proceeds go to us to be able to fund veterans, and so we have spent those funds now between housing, gas, scooters, like whatever a veteran has need of. They come talk to us. They show us that they're a veteran. We take copies of their paperwork, and then we help provide them the basic needs that they have.
Oh, excellent. If you expended the funds, that means you reached out to them.
Yes, and we've been working with DAV and VFW more closely to make sure that they know to send people over to us for the funding that we have. And so we, of course, are always looking for ideas to do more fundraising. If somebody has a great idea and would like to manage a fundraiser for us, we would be eternally grateful for sure. Those are huge. They make a huge difference, because every dollar that we raise goes directly to the group that it's being raised for.
And make sure if you have someone that oversees it too, it'd be great to have managers that come with the ideas also.
Exactly. Yes, and that's why
That's why
a great fundraising idea that comes with you as a manager to promote it, and we are always happy to help with that. We were actually able to do that last year with someone who came and said, "I'd really like to do a golf tournament," and he did a beautiful job, but managed it. So I was happy to help. I would provide whatever underlying things are necessary, but I can't run around to businesses and ask for support. I need somebody to be the hands and feet for that.
Right, they have to take ownership of it.
Right.
And you give them the wherewithal to do that, and you show them how to do that, and go for it, and we'll give you all the backup.
We'll give them all the backup that they need,
yes.
for sure. Yeah, so we can always use that. We always have folks in need. We know that in our community. I feel like Pahrump, though, is on the verge of some really positive things. I feel like there's a new kind of energy in the town that we're coming out of that dark period of recession and all of that, and so there are some things going on that are really, I just kind of feel that positiveness.
Right, there's building, there's money coming in, there are new people coming in. I'm sorry I have to do this, Jack in the Box is coming here. But yeah, there are things that are coming that have never been here before, so hopefully this is a sign of what's coming up in the future.
Right.
You have different classes too for people.
We do a wide array of classes. So we have parenting classes that are an 8-week session that run year-round. That will teach people from any age child, so from infant through adolescence. There's going to be a way to fit into that parenting class. We have grandparenting support groups, and we're really going to be pushing that this fall for grandparents or second-generation people that are raising children. And so if you're a grandparent raising a grandchild, if you're a great aunt and uncle that have a great nephew, you need a support system and a set of peers that are doing the same thing, because it's a different matter than raising your own kids. Things are different. They're different now than they were when you were raising your own children. How do you negotiate the school system? What do I do about a tablet? Why does my 11-year-old think they need a phone? It goes on and on with the differences from what children being raised now to what children were being raised when grandparents were raising them. And so just the support of a group of people who are facing those same challenges. It's not necessarily a parenting class. We will try and sneak some parenting things in there, of course, because they're important. But just as important is just knowing that you have a set of peers that can do that with you. So that's a really big one. We have anger management classes for men and women. They're held separately, so anger management for men and anger management for women. We also have a support group for victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. That group, you do not have to have used our services for advocacy to still come and be a part of the survivors group. So if that was something that, you know, sometimes you feel like I've kind of stepped past it and I'm healed, and then something happens and you're like, maybe I just need a little more support. Maybe I don't need everything I needed before, but I just need to come sit for a bit and go and sit down with other survivors and kind of get a hold again.
The group thing.
The group thing is really important, and you can be at a point where you think that you've reached a healed spot, and a trigger comes up and you really need to spend a little more time. That's a normal part of the process. So to be in a group of other victims, survivors that are getting through that, doing the healing, doing the work, we'd love to have you, even if we were not the agency that helped you through it initially. So we have that. We have Life Skills Plus, which is a really fun class. It is, again, an 8-week course. It's offered 4 times throughout the year. And it does, we do it in 2 parts. So each session is part nutrition, food, you know, how do we take care of our bodies, stress management, and then the other half is communication, assertiveness, how do we wisely spend, how do we make our SNAP dollars go the farthest? What do we do about a grocery bill? How do we make those things work? How do we, we have a banker come and talk about the importance and cost of credit, and how do I keep my identity safe? And we have one about phones on our apps on our phones, and how do we get those running? And how do we manage a calendar that we can find in more than one place? And just a whole resource of topics that are really related to just the skills it takes to navigate life now. And then part of that, it comes with some funding from Nye Communities Coalition and the Fund for Food for Healthy Nevadans. Mm-hmm. And so every participant in that program takes a box of food home with them at the end of each week.
Oh, okay.
So it's another good way to, you know, bring in some additional resources to the family home too.
Speaking about apps with Alexa and Amazon, I have Alexa sitting in the corner unplugged.
Yeah.
I gave her a timeout, and she hasn't come back from that.
It's everything I can do to
It was a Christmas present from my sister. She bought one, she gave me one, and I haven't used it in quite a while because there's a hook on that one too.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, we haven't gotten to that point, although we are learning now to talk to Google. So, you know, on the phone and tell me where the nearest Taco Bell is. Yeah, we've crossed that bridge.
Oh my God! But thank you so much. They're just a wealth of knowledge, and the things that you do. And how much does it cost?
It costs nothing.
Okay.
It costs nothing.
And what do you have to call? 751-1118?
That's correct.
Yes. Salli and her group of people there that work tirelessly to help you, and we thank you for watching. Thank you for spending time with us, and we'll see you next week.
Community Viewpoint.